and welcome back to another month with True Texas Project. Today I want to talk to you about social media. We are quickly reaching crisis point in terms of the attempt to bar conservatives from virtually every social media platform out there, and we're watching this happen in real time. The entire tech infrastructure is now mobilizing in order to take conservative outlets off the internet in order to ensure that we no longer serve as a threat to the left's agenda. This is a slow-moving war that has been declared by the tech bros, and it's not something that we are willing to ignore. All that to say, we can't guarantee how much longer Facebook is going to distribute True Texas Project news, or how much longer Gab will exist on the internet. And this is why we are making the push for you all to follow us on social media everywhere, because we might be coming to the point in time that the only way you ever hear news about or from True Texas Project is by specifically searching for us by name or by receiving personal notifications. So what I want you to do right now is take your phone out and make sure that you are following us on these platforms. Go to Facebook and follow our main page under True Texas Project, and follow True Texas Project events. We have a secondary page specifically for events so that you all know when and where we meet each month. The reason we also push in-person meetings is because if we are deplatformed, we don't want anyone to lose out on being educated about the current issues in our state and our nation, and we especially don't want anyone to miss out on the opportunity to get together with other like-minded individuals at our meetings. Plus, if our live stream gets cut and the archives become inaccessible, we want you to hear the truth in person and to be compelled to take action. We're also on Twitter. You can follow us at TrueTX Project. This platform allows us to share essential real-time information and to promote other conservatives through collaborative efforts. We're also active on Instagram. Look up True Texas Proj. Instagram has the highest engagement rate of all the main social channels, beating Facebook and Twitter. Instagram is our 3-for-1 social media platform because we share news, event invites, and we share with you what we are doing in real time. And Instagram is the least censored platform, which makes us more accessible for everyone. While you may be used to using Facebook and Twitter, it's essential to keep up with the times and join the movement on Instagram because it's already taking over other platforms, and we want to make a bigger impact, but we need your help to do it. In addition, we want to follow you back and to connect with you. Finally, if you don't have one already, you need to sign up for a Gab account. Gab is the free speech alternative to Facebook and Twitter, and political figures are already working to ban it from the internet. There's no app for this platform, so you'll have to sign up online. We understand that some of you might be of the mindset that joining social media only fuels big tech, but actually by deleting your social media or simply refusing to join, the tech bros win, because at the end of the day, they want us gone from society. So the only option we see is to become louder, prouder, and stronger on the internet. The country is formally dividing into two Americas, and this is why we have to build our own mechanism of strong individuals that are part of an even stronger collective body. Make the decision right now to follow and subscribe to our platforms. After you sign up and follow us on these platforms, start voicing the truth. Become active, and to increase our visibility everywhere, to help others find us, anytime you post to Facebook or Twitter or post a picture relating to True Texas Project, please tag us and use the hashtag #TrueTexasProject. This is a movement, and we want you to be a part of it. We want others to know about it, and we want them to join too. So use the hashtag and promote the movement. The last thing I want you to consider, and perhaps the most important moving piece, is signing up for texts and emails from True Texas Project. On the homepage of our website, there is a sign-up button for you to receive texts and emails. In fact, email has been the primary method of communication for TTP since it began, so please sign up and stay informed. In other news, there's a lot going on in Austin right now. We could go on and on about several bills of importance, but I want to bring attention to a very specific topic that cannot go ignored. Representative Brian Slayton was brought to tears when he was questioned about the Parent and Child Protection Amendment that ensures that CPS cannot remove a child from their parent due to the parent not supporting genital mutilation. Take a look.
The gentleman yields for questions.
All right, you've been offering this amendment quite a few times, and I know you lose every time. I want to know why you're doing it. I want you to be heard. Be brief, but tell people why you want this amendment heard.
So I became aware of what's going on in Texas with children, a lot of times pre-puberty, going through gender modification surgeries. I became...
Members, please take your conversations outside the rails.
I met a man who is going through a divorce, and his spouse was trying to get the gender changed of his son, 3 years old. He spent 7 years through numerous court battles. CPS was called on him 5 times because he would not put his son in a dress. And he does not want his son to have this permanent procedure.
Look, I'm going to tell you,
performed
I know you
on
pretty
his
well.
son.
This is pretty emotional for you, and I know this is important. The reason I'm asking this question you weren't expecting is I want people to see how important this is to you. This is why you keep fighting for it. I want you to be heard. I know this is important to you. I want people to know that you're not just coming up here to do an amendment just to cause chaos. This is personal to you, correct?
He's just a child. He's a child.
So let me ask one last question and then I'll leave you, because I know this is hard. Is this not part of Proposition 6, which was passed with 95% of the Republican voters voting yes on it in 2020?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
As of currently, GOP leadership won't support ending child gender disfigurement. Here's Tracy Shannon giving us a brief update on the bills that relate to this issue.
Howdy, True Texas Project. This is Tracy Shannon with a Save James Action Update. This week we have 2 bills being heard in the Texas Legislature. The first will be Senate Bill 1646, which will designate the transition of a minor under the age of 14 years old as child abuse. This hearing will take place in the Senate State Affairs Committee at 9 a.m. on Monday. If you can be there on Monday to testify, that is the only way to get testimony on this Senate Bill 1646. The other bill is House Bill 1399. This bill bans certain treatments for the purpose of treating gender dysphoria in minors, such as the use of puberty blockers and the use of wrong-sex hormones. This hearing will take place at 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning in the House Committee on Public Health, which is Representative Clipp's committee. You can submit written testimony online at the link that I'm putting up on the screen now, so go ahead and screenshot that so you'll have it for later. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of opposition for this bill as well as the Senate bill that's being heard on Monday. So if you can get there on Wednesday to testify in favor of House Bill 1399, that will be greatly appreciated. Look for more legislative updates for Save James action to come. Thank you.
Hang tight, there are 2 final things I want to mention. As much as we love to fight the good fight, we also like to have fun. On May 14th and 15th, True Texas Project is headed to Hillbilly Haven for a camping trip. You can bring a tent or a full hookup RV, or you can come for the day and join us as we float down the Brazos River, canoe, kayak, and fish. Or you can come to hang out with us at the campfire. You can even bring your dog, so mark your calendars for May 14th and 15th. And final, please welcome True Texas Project, Ellis County. We are growing at a rapid pace and we don't have plans to slow down. If you're curious where we're going next, check out the True Texas Project map. The red stars are where we are as of currently, and the white stars represent where we are going. See you next month, True Texas Project.
All right. How's that? Okay, so the hat should be passed preferably right now. And while we're doing that, I'm going to introduce up a couple of the local candidates that are running. We're going to give them 30 seconds. Come on up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting me speak. My name is Angela Powell. I'm running again for Plano ISD. I'm your conservative for Plano Independent School District. And thank you. I know a lot of you here because I was also a delegate for our GOP. So, you know, if you want a t-shirt, I bought t-shirts. So if you're poll reading or you just want a t-shirt, I'm going to give you one of my t-shirts that looks just like that, okay? And I just want to thank all of you who have supported me for the last 3.5 years when I've been running, and you know, and what I've done, you know, on the school board. And the thing is that I had put our conservative values on the board. I actually attend our school meetings, and sometimes I say the word God comes out in videos of me on the school board. So I'm a Catholic pro-life conservative, and thank you so much for supporting me in 2017. And I'm so thankful that you're supporting me again in 2021. So thank you. God bless Texas.
Politician going over. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Robertson. I'm running for Plano City Council, Place 7, and I'm a proud member, proud to be here at True Texas Project. I am a conservative Republican. I was endorsed by the GOP and the Collin County Conservative Republicans, and we started early voting today. So we have left the gate, so to speak. We are in the midst, or at the beginning of the race. So I'm ready to see it completely through. So please come out if you are a Plano resident. Please come out and vote for Chris Robertson for Place 7. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, at this point, I will be turning over the mic to Heather Tanner. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. My name is Heather Tanner. I will be introducing the speakers tonight. Our first speaker discovered his true identity in Christ after having lived as a transsexual woman named Dominique for over 20 years. He is now a very outspoken pro-family activist that enjoys using his testimony of transformation to challenge the world's view of freedom through influencing legislation. Now he serves as Assistant Director of Mass Resistance Texas. Please help me welcome Kevin Witt.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. First, I want to let you know that I've decided to launch a pro-family organization that will combat all forms of pediatric gender transition and indoctrination from the LGBT community. And this is called the WIT Project because everybody convinced me to use my name because I have a story, whatever. So it's the WIT Project. So whenever I was born into a very dysfunctional family. My father was very abusive, physically, verbally, and eventually sexually. He sexually abused me from the time I was 15. It really started around 12 up until about 16. And I really didn't know it was abuse because my father, he said that he was teaching me to be a man. And I didn't know any different until I met other friends and they told me, my dad doesn't do that. So I was like, okay. And so I came out of the closet at about 15 or 16. I started living as a female whenever I turned 16, going on 17. I lived as a female in my last year of high school. Then I went to this program, a state-funded program for adolescents and youth that are troubled teens. There, my first day there, I got gay bashed. I got beat with all the guys put their locks in a sock and they beat me as I was sleeping. And so I ran away from there and I became homeless. I was homeless on the streets of Austin for about 3 months and I was panhandling and this whole time I was living as a female. And I was panhandling and all that, and so I did whatever it took to make money to survive. Then I ended up going back to that program because I couldn't handle being on the streets anymore. And then I moved to Dallas whenever I left that program. Whenever I was in Dallas, I started working as a drag queen in gay nightclubs, and then eventually started prostitution. I prostituted for 17 years, and I also worked in all forms of the sex industry, and that included being a phone sex operator, a webcam model, a dominatrix, porn photo shoots, and I worked on Harry Hines. And so then I moved to Florida because I had about 8 friends that passed away due to HIV in 1 year. And so I was like, I need to leave Texas. I'm going to go to Florida. I went to Fort Lauderdale. And right as soon as I got there, I got a job working in a gay nightclub. And when I worked in this gay nightclub, one of the strippers, he invited me to go to church with him. Of all things, of all people, God used a donkey, so, he used a stripper this time. And he invited me to go to church with him, and I went to church, and it planted a seed in my heart. And so after that, I moved back to Dallas, and then one of my other friends invited me to church on Easter. And that was the day that changed my life forever. And I never did think that I would ever be, definitely not standing here. I hated politics, and definitely did not ever think I would be doing anything I'm doing now. I never knew anything but the trans lifestyle, and so the fact that I'm able to stand here right now is really a miracle. But when I went to church that day on Easter, I did not think that my life was going to change. But whenever I accepted Christ that day, I asked myself, what does this mean for the rest of my life? And over time, God started showing me. And so now I use my testimony to speak out against pediatric gender transition, drag queen story hour, comprehensive sex education where they teach third graders how to have homosexual sex. And all of this stuff is happening right here in the state of Texas, where we say that this state is supposed to be so conservative and the rest of the country looks up to us. Well, it's not that conservative when you live here. And so somebody is passing out, it's a call to action. But what this really is to let you and inform you to know that there is an issue plaguing our country. And this issue is pediatric gender transition. And these kids oftentimes, they'll choose the wrong toy, or they choose a female, like pink. A little boy says, oh, I want to wear that pink shirt. Then the parent says, oh, well, that must mean that they're supposed to be a girl. I mean, is that ridiculous? And so, or in the case of James Younger, he chose a female toy. And his mom decided to raise him as a little girl. So we have these issues happening throughout the state of Texas. There is at least 500 children that are going through this. When I was just in the Capitol last week testifying on these bills, you would not believe the number of kids that were brought up there dressed as little boys or little girls when they were the opposite gender and coached by their parents to testify. It was disgusting. And so the Republican Party of Texas made this a legislative priority. Priority number 3, thank God. Thank you to Alan West and to the Republican Party for actually caring enough to make this a priority. They never have done that before. And so we have bills. We've got HB 68 that Toth wrote. He authored HB 1399, HB 2693, and SB 1311, SB 1646, and HB 4014. Now, 1311 and 1646 in the Senate, they're ready to be voted on in the floor if Dan Patrick will schedule a vote. So I need you guys to call Dan Patrick's office and tell him that you want these bills to be voted on in a floor vote. It has to happen, or not. If not, these bills are going to get killed. Also, HB 1399 in the House, that made it out of the Public Health Committee, thankfully, and now it needs to get a vote. So please call Chairman Representative Dustin Burrows and ask him for a floor vote. Because if not, it will be killed, and there will be no chance for the next 2 years of these bills becoming law. And we've got to protect kids, because if you think, oh, well, this isn't affecting my family, all I have to say is not yet. Because all your son or daughter has to do is go to school and the wrong person get a hold of them and convince them that they're supposed to be a boy or a girl, and they're going to come home begging you to allow them to live as the opposite gender. You guys, gender dysphoria is a very real mental illness, one that I used to have. And gender dysphoria is where you believe that you are in the wrong body. And it is truly a mental illness. The Psychology Association no longer considers it a mental illness, but yeah, that's another story. So, but we have doctors here in Texas at the Genesis Clinic, which is located in the Children's Hospital. Dr. Lopez got up before the Public Health Committee and just testified last week. And she said that puberty blockers and puberty suppressing hormones and cross-sex hormones are her bread and butter of her business. And she said this before the Public Health Committee. I'm not sure that she knew what she was actually saying, but it worked in our favor. And so you guys, these clinics, they make trillions of dollars a year. And they're right, I mean, we have it in the Children's Hospital here in Dallas. And so y'all, please understand, there's also these gender therapists that are really nothing more than a licensed professional counselor who you can take your child to, and they will convince and affirm them that they're supposed to be the opposite sex. I myself went to one of them. And in fact, I have the letter here, if the guy back there can find the letter, where I went to the gender therapist, and this is what they said. This letter is to certify that Kevin Witt, aka Dominique, is a transsexual woman. She is currently in psychological therapy for gender transition. Listen to what the treatment was. Treatment requires the client to present as female as much as possible. Therefore, she should be treated with respect and afforded all the rights and privileges of a female. That was my treatment. To just present as female. But I told her I had been molested. I told her I had been abused. And did she care? No. She just swept all that under the rug and said, well, you were supposed to be born a woman. And so, this is what they're doing. And I'm going to show you before pictures of me, not for you to glorify, so don't anybody out there say, oh my God, like, you look like a girl. That's not what this is for. This is to show you how far gone I really was. That was whenever I was prostituting. You can go to the next one. That was my drag headshot for whenever I performed in nightclubs. And that was me just hanging out. And yes, I had breasts due to hormones. Those hormones, they cause permanent, lifelong damage. And those doctors that are prescribing these to kids say, oh, no, they don't. Yeah, I almost had a stroke after taking them for 3 months. Imagine what they're doing to a little 8-year-old. This is not okay, and we need to get more people involved, more people to step up, and more people to come to Austin, and I need people on my team. Yes, there are other pro-family organizations, but in my opinion, I'm sorry, but they're weak. They don't do enough. They do a lot of collecting a whole bunch of money, but they don't do a lot of activism. And the only way we're going to get through to these politicians is if we get to their constituents and their money. And that's all politicians speak, constituents and money. So if you don't get to that, you're doing nothing. So if you would like to be a part of my organization, I was going to pass around a sign-in sheet, but I never can read anybody's handwriting, so we're not doing that. So just email me at wit.k@yahoo.com. My website will be up soon, and yeah, I'm getting all that going. But anyways, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening to me. And you guys, this is happening, and we need to bring awareness to this, what's happening.
you, Kevin, for that powerful testimony of yours. For our next speaker, he really doesn't like me to introduce him. He is awesome. He's a Christian constitutional conservative, combat veteran, and former member of the House of Congress. Thank you.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you all tonight. Let me tell you something. Something really interesting happened earlier today. There's some guy that writes for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram named Bud something. I don't know if y'all ever heard of him. But Bud, he got in contact with our communications director and demanded that Alan West explain why he's going to be with Kevin Witt tonight. I can't say what I said in my heart. But Bud, if y'all take this, you're a jackass. I've been in combat. I've seen young men lose their lives. I've seen courage. But what you saw tonight, a young man that stood up here, and he released his entire story to you. That's courage. For him to show you that's the story, for him to stand up and thank him for having the courage to tell that story to each and every one of us. To give a living example of what we're fighting for. So God bless you, brother. Now, what Kevin didn't tell you as well is that Planned Parenthood is moving on from just murdering unborn babies now. They're in the gender dysphoria business as well. Puberty blockers, modification surgeries, and things of this nature. So what has happened to us? What has happened to us in our homes? I mean, when did we stop being the mothers and fathers? When did we stop being in charge of our children? When did all of a sudden these people can implant these ideas, and the next thing you know, we come and we accept them? See, the God that I serve, he didn't make a mistake. When he made Adam and Eve, he made perfection. But for man to come along and think that now he has the ability to change and re-identify and be whatever he wants to be. See, this is the real objective of the progressive socialist left that we don't think about, we don't understand. Heather and I were having a little discussion earlier. She was saying, there's chaos and all of these things. There's a crisis going on at the border. Not to them. To them, what is happening at the border is exactly what they wanted to have happen. They wanted an open borders policy. They want to undermine the United States of America. They want to undermine Texas. They want to flood this state and this country with illegal immigrants. They don't care if they're criminals. They don't care if they're sex offenders. They don't care if they're terrorists. Remember when Antifa was shouting once upon a time, no borders, no walls, no USA at all. And so what we have to stop doing is seeing all of these issues through the prism of our eyes and start to understand and get inside their head. That's some Sun Tzu. I mean, if you guys have never read The Art of War, that's what it's all about. And if I really could have helped President Trump, I would have told him to put down that Art of the Deal book and pick up Sun Tzu's Art of War. I would have told him to put down anything else and read Rules for Radicals and understand the psychology of the other side. But what we've got to stop doing is trying to placate, appease, compromise, and acquiesce to the other side. Either, this is a real simple point for us. Which side of the line you're going to stand on? The Bible talks about if you're hot and you're cold, if you're lukewarm, I'll spew you from my mouth. My dad once taught me that the only thing in the middle of the road is roadkill. Man never went to college, but he was pretty smart. Yep. But that's what we have to understand. We have to declare who we are, what we stand for, what we believe in. And again, I thank Kevin for taking that position. But first and foremost, let's talk about this. Today we sent out an email in the state of Texas telling everyone that this is the first day for early voting for the municipal level elections. And if you have any questions about the municipal level elections in your area, please contact us. The phones went off the hook. People call us saying, why are there elections in May? People call them saying, can you tell me, who is running in my area? See, you want to talk about a call to action, folks. When the left comes into a strong constitutional conservative state, being it Nevada used to be red, California even used to be red, Arizona, New Mexico, Virginia, Georgia, Texas. When they move into our states, guess what the first thing they seek out to do? They run for city council. They run for school board. They run for county commission. They run for county clerk. They run for all of these things at the local level, and we pay no attention to them. You can run up to, I got to tell you, I was down in Dallas at an event. A woman came up to the microphone just mad, screaming, yelling, blah, 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 blah. This is what you need to be doing and all this kind of stuff, Chairman. I asked her one simple question. I said, who's your state representative? She said, Ted Cruz. And we laugh. But this is the problem. We don't understand the most important level of governance that is out there. Tip O'Neill, a Democrat, even said it. All politics are local. If we continue to have 5%, 6%, or maybe if you're lucky, you get 8%, turnout for our local level elections, the other side's going to continue to laugh at us. Right now in Denton County, just north of you all here, there's a Democrat group that is talking about how they're going to undermine and take over Denton County through the city council elections, the school board, local elections. And if you don't think that they have the exact same mentality, the exact same target on Collin County, because there's a cancer down south of you all called Dallas County. And that cancer is metastasized. And it's looking to spread, it's looking to grow. It's looking to grow up north to Collin and Denton. It's looking to grow out over to the west, over to Tarrant County. It's looking to grow down south into Ellis County. And if we don't start paying attention to these local elections, stop thinking about what happens in 2022. You know, the United States Army in 1942, in Europe, their first battle was not trying to go to Berlin. The first battle was in North Africa. Because they understood that they had to defeat the enemy in the outer perimeter and start to reduce their sphere of influence. So we need to defeat this enemy where he's closest to us, in our city councils. You sit around and you say, well, Colonel, I'm tired of this critical race theory. I'm tired of all this stuff going on and teaching my kid and indoctrinating my kid. Who's your school board member? Crickets. You got to get out there. The most important elected position in the United States of America is school board. The election that has the least amount of voter participation in the United States of America is school board. And then you say, well, why are they indoctrinating my kid? Why are down in Leander Independent School District are kids reading pornography and they're being told that it's literature? It's all about school board. It's all about good governance at the local level. So my challenge to you, first and foremost, here in Collin County, I don't want to hear that for these municipal level elections. You got from now, April the 19th to May the 1st. I don't want to hear that you only have a 5% turnout. I don't want to hear you have 6% turnout. 10% ain't good enough for me. I want to hear 20% or higher. 20% or higher turnout. That means all I'm asking you to do is you go out and find 5 people. And I know you got 5 friends. I even got 5 friends. I have a whole bunch of friends this weekend when I paid for that wedding. I had people that showed up and like, who the hell are you? Well, free meal. But 5 people get 1. That's 20%. If you get 1 out of 5 that comes out and votes in these municipal level elections, 20%, that's going to be a landslide for us. We've got 9 great constitutional conservative candidates running for city council in Dallas. Unheard of in Dallas. We can get a 20% turnout in Dallas. Why? The last mayoral election in Dallas, one of the largest cities in the United States of America, 8%. It's 10% Republicans in Dallas, Texas. So all I'm asking, get your 5 friends, just give me 1. And then when you get that one, work on the second. You get 40%, that's even better. But that's what we have to do. We've got to beat them at the level that is closest to us. That sets the conditions for 2022. And when you're winning at the city council, the school board, the county commission, county clerk level, guess what you're doing? You're creating a farm team that can be your next state representative. They can be your next state senator. That you can grow up and they can be your next attorney general. They can be the next U.S. member of Congress. But if you're losing at the local level, then all you're doing is you're screwing around looking for someone to run for all of those next levels. It's kind of like in baseball. Now, I ain't really a fan of Major League Baseball. But it's kind of like in baseball. Single A level, double A, triple A, and then the major leagues. Where's your single A level? School board, city council, county commission, county clerks. Everybody's freaking out about elections. How many people here read H.R. 1? Okay, everybody here needs to read H.R. 1. But let me ask you something. Show me in the Constitution where it says that the federal government has enumerated power to execute elections in the United States of America. They don't. So everyone's freaking out about H.R. 1. All we need to do is make sure that we pass good, strong election laws here at the state level. You can take it to court. They're not going to win in court because the 10th Amendment says all those powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states and to the people. So the states have the power of election. That's why we all have our election law. And who executes the election? What level of governance executes elections in the United States of America? Counties. The counties make the decisions on the voting machines. The counties make the decisions on the processes and the procedures. The counties make the decisions. If you control the county, then you select the election administrator, if you have an election administrator. That's why these local level elections are so important. That's why I got to get you to understand. Stop writing off the local level elections, allowing them to come in and win it, and then the next thing you know, they screw up your communities. And then the cancer just metastasizes. You look at the county by county electoral map of Texas, or look at my home state of Georgia. Only 5 places are blue in Georgia, but they're all the major population centers. The Atlanta Metroplex, Macon, Columbus, Augusta, Savannah. You know, when I was growing up in Atlanta, guess who was the representatives there? Remember that guy, 1994? New Gingrich. Bob Barr. So what happened? Slowly but surely, we did not raise people to run for city council. We did not raise people to run for school board. We did not raise people to run for county level elections and offices. And the other side came in, they took them over, and they raised up the next generation that came in. That's the problem that we have. I want you to have that vision. And understand that we don't have to fret about H.R. 1 as long as our number one legislative priority is election integrity. We got to get it passed through the House now. We got passed through the Senate. We got to get it passed through the House. And remember how hard you all worked last year, that hot Texas summer? So you have an 83 to 67 majority in the Texas State House. You have an 18 to 13 majority in the Texas State Senate. Why can't we get Republican legislative parties passed when we have those type of majorities? You know,
they're not Republican.
so said the man back there in the amen corner. Okay? But the thing is that, okay, sir, you can say that, but I'm going to kind of have to hit you in your back pocket. How did they get there? Okay?
Yeah.
So you've got to be a little bit more courageous and start holding people accountable, holding people responsible. You've got to go out there. On the Legislative Priorities tab on the Republican Party of Texas website, you can pull down a digital playbook. Every single one of those legislative priorities, election integrity, monument protection, the religious freedom, constitutional care, ending abortion in Texas, ending child gender modification, school choice, ending taxpayer-funded lobbying, and curtailing executive ovaries. Every single one of those legislative priorities, you can find the bills that are related to them, you can find the committees of jurisdiction, you can find out exactly where they are in the process. Sign up for the Strategic Texas Action Team, STAT, so you get all of the alerts to tell you exactly what's going on with these pieces of legislation. It's just you all. Remember what Benjamin Franklin said, and I think I wrote it in my Monday message. How many people here get the Monday message? Okay, I don't feel so bad. I said in the Monday message where Franklin said, a republic if you can keep it. That's your responsibility by being a citizen in the great state of Texas and a citizen of the United States of America. If you don't want to keep it, someone else will. If you don't want to raise up your child, as it says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they grow old, they shall not depart from it. Someone else will come in and fill that void.
That's right, that's right.
And that's what you got happening, even here in the state of Texas. So we need you to step up. Now let's talk about this other thing, about constitutional carry. You know why Texas should have constitutional carry? Because it's in the Constitution. I mean, God bless America. Come on, folks. But really, think about this. Vermont.
Yeah.
For freaking Vermont has Constitution. Bernie Sanders is walking around with constitutional carry at 3 of his lake houses. And we don't have it here. Utah. Mitt Romney is walking around in Utah with permitless carry. We ain't got it here. 20 other states. 20 other states have constitutional carry. 2 weeks ago, 3 states signed up for constitutional carry. Iowa, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Constitutional carry. Big old rough and tough Texas, you know Texas swagger. Texas Cowboys ain't got constitutional carry. And someone is saying that they don't think that they're going to bring it to the floor. You got to call them and say, do you really believe that we don't possess this right? Because if we start to allow elected officials to pick and choose what we have as a constitutional right, then you're going to get more of what you got last year when elected officials come down and decide who and what is essential. It won't be long before they say, well, you know that whole Fourth Amendment thing? You don't have a Fourth Amendment. Guess what? What are they listening to in the Supreme Court? Whether or not police can come into your house without a warrant and take away your weapons. That's how silly this has gotten. So then what happens? Will you have to have a permit to go to church? You know, you're going to have that freedom of religion permit. Or freedom of speech. I mean, we're already pretty much so at that point. How about freedom of expression? The right to assemble. You won't be able to have a right to assemble unless every single one of us has an assembly card, a permit card. That's where we're heading. And here we are in Texas. Yeah, even COVID. I mean, vaccine passport. Here we are in Texas. Something so simple as constitutional carry. Let me tell you how absurd this is. Now, I know a little bit about guns. I'm on the NRA board. I'm going on, 7 years on the NRA board. In Texas, you can openly carry a long gun without a permit. But you cannot openly carry one of these unless you have a permit. I said it this last week in the press. That's stuck on stupid. I mean, how is it that a long gun is different from a handgun? You don't need to have a permit. All you need to do, folks, in the state of Texas is pass a 4473 background check, and that's your constitutional right. Now, if you want to travel with your peace across the state lines into a state that has reciprocity with the state of Texas, then get a permit. But the fact that we have law enforcement agents that are sitting around saying, no, I'm against constitutional carry. I thought you were supposed to uphold the law. Yeah. Which law are you upholding? We don't want to see the Wild West going on. Well, have you noticed what's happening in all the major cities? Okay? Where they're releasing criminals, and these criminals are not going out and going through background checks. Somehow they're getting weapons. And oh, by the way, if you want to defund the police, if you want to defund ICE, then who's going to protect us? Who's going to take care of us? Yeah. Who is going to make sure that we're safe and secure? That's why we have that Second Amendment right. This is a defining moment for the state of Texas. This is a defining moment for us as citizens in the state of Texas. This is a defining moment for Republicans in the state of Texas. If we have Republicans with an 83 to 67 majority in the House, an 18 to 13 majority in the Senate, all of these statewide elected officials, Republicans, and we can't pass a constitutional right, it should piss you off.
It does. It does. So
one of our legislative priorities is religious liberty and religious freedom. HR 5 threatens religious liberty and religious freedom. How many people here read HR 5, the Equality Act? Okay, that's one of the things I want to make sure that y'all do in these groups when you come together. That's a call to action. You all need to have like a legislative committee within here that keeps you all informed and abreast of all of these different pieces of legislation. You're busy. You're out there working. You're taking care of your kids, grandkids, you're living your lives. But someone needs to be able to crystallize this stuff and send out a little short summary, a little one-page summary, so you understand what's going on, so that you can be informed, be educated, be activated. So I want you to do that. But to think about this LGBTQ ideological agenda that they're trying to codify into law, and they're trying to make it equivalent as a civil right. They're saying that sexual behavior, sexual choice is now a civil right. That's kind of offensive.
I know.
To my mother and father, my granddad and grandma, what they had to go through growing up down south. It's really hard times. And don't think that we have not been there before here in Texas. Remember Annise Parker, the mayor of Houston, how she sent out subpoenas for the sermons of pastors? So we kind of already been there. We got to stand up. We got to pass the right type of legislation to protect the men and women of the cloth. We don't want to see it come to the point where you can't even preach the word of God because someone has declared it's against the law. 1 out of 5. That's all I'm asking. 20% for these local level elections. Be informed, be educated, be activated. You got to understand these pieces of legislation. You got to understand where they are in the process. See, right now it comes to sweet spot, and I'm sure Fran understands this, and Julie does as well. At the end of this month to the beginning of next month, if bills are still trapped in committee, there's a reason why they have them trapped in committee. They want them to die. So don't think that it's over. We're about in the 6th inning right now. The things that have passed out of the House floor or the Senate floor, that's a good thing. But guess what? You need to make sure they've passed both of the houses, Senate and the House of Representatives. Those things that are in committee, you need to be calling folks and saying, why is this Republican legislative party legislation still in committee? Get it out of committee, get it on the floor for a vote. You know, folks say, you know, Colonel, are you gonna go down there and talk to the legislators? Nope. I'm gonna talk to you. I want you to talk to them. Because they're your legislators. They're your representatives. I can go down there and jump on top of desks or whatever. I'm just one person. But if they hear your voices, if they hear and understand that this is a different time in Texas, we're not going to accept a C, definitely not going to accept a D. We don't want failure. It's kind of like when you came home, you either had an A's or B plus. Anything less than that, it's going to be a good day for you, folks. That's what we need them to understand. It's all A's, maybe a couple of B pluses. But we want a successful, constitutional conservative legislative session for this 87th legislative session. Because then we got redistricting. And redistricting is so important. Because here in Texas, we're going to get maybe 3 new congressional seats. One definitely up here, one definitely down in the Houston, Harris County area, and maybe one Williamson County through Travis down to Hayes County. The left wants these seats. That's why they're flooding this state with illegal immigrants. Because remember, the left does not believe the representation is based upon citizenship. It's based upon population. That's why the left in H.R. 1 says that you don't need a voter ID to vote. There will be no review of voter registration rolls as they flood this state with more illegal immigrants. These folks are devious and they're dangerous. They're delusional, but they have to be defeated. And the only way they will be defeated in the state that they know they cannot control America till they control Texas. It's your legacy. Stand up now and to defend the Lone Star State. God bless you all. Waiting questions.
Yay, nay?
Yes, sir?
What about term limits? I mean, we've got a state Congress that's doing the same thing that our last Republican Congress did. Absolutely nothing as far as I'm concerned. And if it starts with the lieutenant governor not doing the job, getting the stuff, to vote, then we're just spinning wheels.
Well, the founding fathers gave you the ability to term limit politicians. It's called your vote. And so that's why we have to get out of the stage of apathy and start to getting involved. Now, I will tell you that, as far as the federal government level, I believe it should be 12 years. And 12 years is based upon 2 terms in the Senate and 6 terms in the House. It's not transferable. You serve 12 years and that's it up in Washington, D.C. You don't get to restart the clock if you want to go from the House or to the Senate back over to the House. But again, they're never going to put term limits on themselves. So it's incumbent to each and every one of you to understand the power that you have in that single little thing called a vote. And again, if you're concerned about voting machines and processes and procedures, then make sure that you control your county commission and your county clerks, because they're the ones making those decisions.
Aren't you a little bit concerned about HR 1, the For the People Act, because even though you're right, they can't regulate the elections, state level elections. The Constitution, Article 1, Section 4 does give Congress the power to regulate congressional and federal elections through, and also they can pay money to the states, and the states, if they accept that money, they have to follow it. So I'm a little concerned about the bill says they can redistrict.
That's something that they're trying to do, is they're trying to take away that enumerated power that states have to do redistricting by creating an independent commission on redistricting, which again, that is way outside the scope of what they're supposed to be able to do. So I think that if we have those strong election laws, we can win that challenge in any court. But the thing is, we can't be, what this is all about? It's about fear, intimidation, coercion. If they thought that they were right with HR 1, they wouldn't be calling it Jim Crow 2.0. Okay? Yeah. See, that's why you have to get inside their head. If they know that they're right, then they would just, pass it, go to court on it, or not allow it to pass over in the Senate because they can't get enough votes. So what they're trying to do is try to make this an issue of race, to say that we must get rid of the filibuster in order to make sure that this racist country does not take away the vote from minority people. So did y'all see the letter I wrote to Will Smith? It's like, come on, Will, give me a break, man. Hadn't heard back from him. I'm still waiting. But the thing is this, Mr. American Airlines, Mr. Delta Airlines CEO, next time I fly on an airplane, y'all might see it in the news. I'm just going to walk on. I ain't even showing any ID. But you're racist. Yeah. Or I'm going to say, why do you keep the plane another 30 minutes? Because, I got CP time, color people time. Okay? So I may not get there, so just keep the plane waiting for me and see, that's what we don't do very well. We don't take the argument and flip it back on them and shut them down. Or we just come out and say, well, maybe you Democrats should know about Jim Crow, because that's some crap you guys came up with and implemented that kept blacks from voting in the first damn place. Okay? That's what we do. We shut them up. I get emotional about this kind of stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah, who's next? Who's got the microphone? Whoever's got the microphone's got the power. Kind of like guys in the house who get the remote.
Colonel, thank you for your excellent writing. I love your emails and reading your letters every.
It's pretty good for a boy from Georgia.
Where do you stand on the Texas nationalist movement?
Where I stand on the Texas nationalist movement, it's very interesting. I just had a text message exchange with Dan Miller today. Obviously, CNN thinks that I'm like leading the secession movement in Texas. Okay. I think that it's very important that you allow people to vote on their own destiny. Yeah. And so I firmly support HB 1369, which gives the people the right to vote, make a decision. I mean, we should not withhold that from them. Now, whether or not the people of Texas vote for such, that's up to you all. I will tell you this. I would rather to see Texas lead this nation than secede from this nation. I've said that openly. I think that this entire country is looking to us to be that lone star that, as I say, illuminates the other 49. If the Lone Star is not there to shine upon the other 49, then you won't have this great constitutional republic that Benjamin Franklin said it's a republic if you can keep it. I want to keep it. I took an oath to this incredible country, its constitution. My dad took that oath. He was a soldier in World War II. My older brother's a Marine who fought in Vietnam. My nephew is a lieutenant colonel right now in the Army, took that oath. And so I believe in this country. That's why I'm willing to fight these bastards to the dying breath. The people have the right to vote on an issue. You can't take that right away from them. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Aside from your,
She wrote her question.
I
Wrote an essay.
did. Aside from your inspirational talks, which was tremendous tonight, what is the state GOP doing to assist, encourage, and groom first-time candidates at the local level?
Well, we have, one of the things you gotta look at, I don't wanna overstep what your county chairs should be doing. Because I believe that things should come from the bottom up. As a matter of fact, we had this saying in the military that we had top-down planning, but bottom-up refinement. So I don't want to get into the business of trying to tell people at the local level that, who they should be out there running, but I want to make sure that we provide the resources. As a matter of fact, the Leadership Institute is going to be running, campaign and candidate training courses. But I want you guys to go out and find those talented young conservatives in your area. I want you to have a stake in this. See, that's one of the things that, I don't spend a lot of time at home. But I want you guys to say that I got a part in this. When those landing craft doors went down on Normandy, the soldiers didn't step out and say, well, I wonder what General Eisenhower's doing. They knew one thing. I got to fight inch by inch by inch. I got to get the hell off of this beach. I got to get up there to that high ground. I got to kill those Germans. So I want you to say, what are you going to do every single day? How are you going to take back terrain? How are you going to take back ground, inch by inch by inch? What did Kennedy say? He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. But I'm happy to provide all the resources. I'm happy to come out there and help counties to raise money so they can have these type of things at their level. But I need you all to go out there and say, where's the diamond in the rough in Plano, in McKinney, Frisco? That's what I want you to do. And then when you come and say, hey, hey, Colonel, we got a great one here. Can you teach, coach, and mentor this person? Absolutely. Here's my cell phone number. Here's my email. Let's pick a place. I love Waffle House. Let's go sit at Waffle House. Let's do some waffles. Let's talk about it. Let me tell you all the things that I went through as a young candidate. And so I'm happy to do that. But all I'm asking you to do once again is to go out and find the diamond in the rough in your area. Remember what I said? Just find 1 out of 5. And then we'll win these and support her. And then make sure you train them up. Something that we don't do very well? We don't go out and find our young people and get them involved and get them out there. We tell young people go out and block walk. We tell them to go out there and make phone calls. You know who we really should have running for school boards? And I'm not kidding. Okay, don't do it. But find someone that just graduated out of high school. Find someone that understands the education system. They understand everything that's going on. And give them the responsibility. And train them up. So those are some of my imparting words.
Colonel?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. John Stamreich, good to see you again.
Yep.
Asking about following up with, Angela is a great school board member, one of the few conservatives
Did you
on
pay
the
him?
school boards out here. Well, I'm segueing into what my
political announcement.
I'm not running school. But my wife was at the Frisco ISD school board meeting when Mr. Ruddy decided to give his comments that Chris Salcedo has been following. And we have a lot of great conservative parents who are hitting these school board meetings to fight the mask mandates, to fight critical race theory and some of these other things. And I just want to kind of get your thoughts on this, because most of those school boards are not filled with Democrats. They are filled with Republicans. Well, they love to talk about that whole, I voted 4 or 5 times in the Republican primary, so that makes me a hard Republican. that remains to be seen. I think that's a fault of the Texas voting thing. But just want to kind of get your thoughts on some of this and what we need to be doing to actually get true Republicans elected. And a lot of these Republicans like to use the TEA, the Texas Education Agency, as their excuse. Oh, we can't do anything, and they hand off power to these superintendents and these faculty members who are bringing in the AFT. And I don't know who the AFT is, right? But that's the
Federation of Teachers.
Right, that's the California Teachers Association in disguise.
Yep.
So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Thanks.
No, I think once again, I mean, you've got to have a series of town halls. You got to have a series of, those times when they present themselves. You got to ask them those tough questions. If they don't want to show up to a town hall on the issue of education and education curriculum, those type of things, then that tells you something. And you should go out and check their voting backgrounds and their records, but you're right, that maybe is not always an indicator. So again, it's about getting involved in this process and holding people accountable, very much so. And I think that it's a breaking of a paradigm, once again, when I talk about getting these young people involved, or just go out, like I said, and recruit someone that you know is a trustworthy individual that you can train up to go out and run for the school board. A lot of times what we do is we have just such a flooding of candidates, and I'm not saying that people can't run for them, but I would love to see where we just have that one good, strong individual in a school board race, or one good, strong individual in a city council race that has gone through a vetting process that you all have here locally, and you know that they've been tried and they've been trusted and they've been proven. So again, it's going to take a little effort, a little elbow grease on your side to get out there and do that. Okay, right back here. No, you don't have the microphone. You can't talk. That's his rule, not mine. Okay?
So, my name is Callie Bittner, and my question is, how do we stop censorship? Because I know a lot of conservative Christians who have got banned on Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. And one way to use your voice is through social media. Mm-hmm. So how do we stop censorship, and what are other ways to communicate your opinion, not through social media?
Well, I will tell you that you are seeing a lot of Republican state legislatures. You saw Ron DeSantis. You've seen it in North Dakota. They're passing legislation that allows citizens to be able to sue these social media corporations. So again, it's the courage that you have at your state government. Now, the state governments are really the power. You talked about the redistricting thing. The left is concerned about redistricting because Republicans control, as we talked about, 62 of 99 state legislatures in the United States of America. 2/3 of the state legislatures are controlled by Republicans. So act like Republicans and say that we're going to find you, and stop, giving taxpayer funds to these social media companies, these leftist companies that flee from, these failing states, and they want to come here to a state like, like Texas, or go Google and whatever, and then they do what you saw they did against Parler and some of the others. Say, hey, look, we're not going to have it here. If you're going to stand for and support for censorship, maybe you should go back to California or New York or New Jersey. But I would love to see people in the state of Texas or people in any other class action lawsuit. You come together and say, I was kicked off of this platform that sells itself as a social media platform that says it's an open platform for freedom of speech, and they denied me my freedom of speech. They denied me my constitutional right.
I actually got one going.
See, there you go. See, I didn't even know that. That's kind of like Johnny Carson. Remember that? Great so, all right, yes, sir.
Colonel West, thank you for showing up today.
Well, I kind of had to. If I didn't, y'all be mad. You don't want Fran coming after you, man.
May I get a plug for the election integrity bills? I ran out of the Slim Jims I was handing out to people. I only had 100 of them. So SB 7. That's been voted out of the Senate. Mm-hmm. That needs to go forward. And HB 6 that hadn't made it out of the House last time I heard. Stephen, have you heard?
No, hadn't made it out of the House.
Also,
out of committee, but not on the House floor.
Fly Southwest Airlines.
Amen. Yes.
Thank you.
They still make me wear a mask on Southwest. Hey, that'd be great. Why don't someone start an airline that says you don't have to wear a mask?
Thank you for being here. I just wanted to ask, with Texas being a red state, but our state capital being blue, which seems to have always been blue in Austin, how much of a disconnect is there at the legislative level in Austin? And I know we're all here trying to start movements at the local level, but by the time what we're saying here gets to Austin, how much of that gets lost in the shuffle? And then also, with all the Texas transplants from New York and California and stuff moving here, how much do you see the
Man,
vote
you
change?
just asked me like 3 questions. Dude, I used to jump out of airplanes. Okay, I'm not that smart. I got 3 questions. Let me see if I can break this down. First and foremost, there are 2 types of people that are moving here from California, Illinois, New York, and New Jersey. The first type are the individuals that have made the decision, I've had it, I'm out of here. But the second type are the people that get picked up and taken and moved to State Farm or Toyota North America. And what we did in the last election cycle, we looked at a trend analysis of precincts. So what we did was we looked at some of these major businesses and corporations that have picked up here and recently moved, and we kind of drew like a 30-mile radius, because most people 30 miles, that's a good commute. And we looked at how precincts have trended from red to purple to blue in that 30-mile radius around these major corporations and businesses that are moving here. And see, once again, it comes down to you all at the local level. When that U-Haul van pulls up into your community, you got to go engage them. You got to talk to them. You got to say, hey, welcome to Texas, Helen. Why did you move here? I mean, I'm just serious. I mean, you should want to know, why did you move here? And if they come out and say, I was in California, I was sick and tired, I didn't have my Second Amendment rights, I didn't have, my taxes were too high. Hey, let me talk to you about the Collin County GOP or the Collin County Conservatives or whatever. But if they come up here and they say, Dad, I'm with Toyota North America, and I got moved here with them, and I kind of liked it out there in California. That's somebody you got to talk to. But even more so, those corporate CEOs, business leaders need to be talking to their employee base. Get them to understand that here's the reason why I left. And you can reinforce this. Your business left because of onerous tax policies. You come here and you buy a house for straight cash that will probably cost you millions of dollars back where you were. So why would you come here and all of a sudden vote for the policies that forced your business to pick up and move here, and vote against the policies that enabled you to come here and buy this beautiful home for cash that you couldn't afford back there? Just get down to the basics. We don't do a very good job of that. And so I want you to engage those new people. Now, let me tell you about Austin. We won a city council race in Austin last November. And we came within 600 votes of winning a second city council race. You know why? Because even the people down in Austin, they may want to be weird, but they want to be safe and secure. And so all of a sudden, when you have a $150 million defunding of the police and a 63% increase in violent crime, all of a sudden you can't go downtown Austin at night because of the homeless situation. You can't go running on the running trail there along the river because all the tents and everything, the open urination and feces and everything. They don't want that. So the people in Austin came up with a petition to reverse the camping ordinance. So we have the ability to deliver that message. We flipped the Rio Grande Valley. Why did we flip the Rio Grande Valley? Because we showed up. And we told them our principles and values are your principles and values. You believe in the Judeo-Christian faith heritage. You believe in strong families. You believe in quality education that leads to opportunity. You believe in individual responsibility. You don't want to be victims. You want to be victors. That's right. You believe in small business entrepreneurship. You believe in service to the nation. Interesting tidbit. The most Medal of Honor recipients in the United States military history, Hispanic. They love this country. They're willing to fight for this country. And when you talk to them about that, they don't want open borders. They want their neighborhoods and communities to be safe. We talked to people when we were down on the radar. So that's what we have to do. Just go and engage. That's why I write the Monday message. I write the Monday message so that you can understand whatever's going on in my stupid little brain, I can put it into your brain. And you are armed to go out there and you have these points that you can talk about and you can argue anything against the other side. When they start to call you names, understand this. Don't retreat. When they're calling you names, continue to press the attack. Because when they're calling you names, that means that you're winning the debate. That they have nothing else to say but to call your name. And you got to continue to attack. Because as long as you continue to retreat, they're going to continue to call your name because you're rewarding them for calling your name. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to go out there and find those new U-Haul vans. I want you to find all of those people. Hey, what is the trivia question? See who's got it. April 21st. San Jacinto Day. April 21st. Now, wouldn't it be great if you sent out to all your friends, you went around to your neighbors and said, Happy San Jacinto Day. What are you talking about? Well, you didn't know? That's the day that Texas solidified and won its independence. That's the day that we whipped Santa Ana in 18 minutes. See, when you don't explain what makes your house unique, what makes your house special, then people will come in and trash your house. That's right. If you don't tell them that Texas is the only state that ever fought for its independence all by itself, people come in and trash your house. You ain't no different from California. It's just another place where you can come in and trash. You're no different from Chicago. You're no different from New York. You're no different from New Jersey. So go out there and tell them how special this place is. We thought we were pretty badass 30 years ago in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We beat Saddam and his quote-unquote million-man army in 100 hours. 18 minutes. A bunch of pissed off Texians, 18 minutes. You should be proud of telling people that. Because if they don't know that, they don't know how unique this place is.
So it's my opinion that we don't have enough time in our legislative session to get everything that we need to get done.
140 days, that's about the Texas Constitution.
I know, but is there any way to change that to where we can have session like the rest of the other states that have session every year instead of every 2 years?
It's about you all voting as to whether or not you want to have a constitutional amendment that changes that. There has to be something that comes up through the Texas GOP and our convention. It has to be some part of the plot. Now, a lot of people here will say, we don't want them in session. They'll screw some more stuff up. But the bottom line is this. Let me tell you the bottom line. If you are organized, if you know your priorities, 140 days is more than enough time. I don't get it. I mean, in 100 hours, we whipped a million-man army. So in 140 days, you can't get 8, 9 legislative priorities and a budget done? Come on, man.
And also, there's been a lot of rumors about who is going to run for governor. And so,
you know what?
I would just like to know.
I gave you all those props. Now you're going to pump me up. Well, we'll see what the Lord wants. I'll promise you this, after legislative session, we'll pray on this. Yes, ma'am. Last question.
Last question. First of all, my grandfather was a lieutenant colonel in the Army who served under General Patton, so I want to thank you for your service.
Oh, my pleasure.
On to his. I'm the chairman of the board for a ministry that restores kids who've been sex trafficked. So we've got some pretty heavy stuff going on. The governor has a child sex trafficking team, and the process is a bit broken. So I'm kind of tagging on to Kevin the plug for you to run for governor, because I would really love for you to be.
Hey, let me tell y'all this. We live in a state that is #1 for human and sex trafficking in the United States of America. The top 2 cities in the United States of America for human and sex trafficking are Dallas and Houston. And we have 3,000 to 4,000 illegal immigrant males sitting in K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, being slowly released out into our community. There's nothing humane about what's going on. We gotta stop this. And the Constitution gives Texas every right to secure the border itself. In Article 1, Section 10, Clause number 3, and also Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. This is not a mother may I. Can I go down and secure my state? This is where you grab some stones and you go out and you take care of your business.
That's right.
Because what is happening in Texas is the complete undermining of the Lone Star State.
That's right.
And we don't want to see the point of no return. We got to stop this from happening. And so you guys pray for me. Don't go praying no daggum selfish prayers, okay? God don't listen to selfish prayers, all right? But you just pray that I will be obedient to his will, whatever his will may be. And ladies, I know y'all say, I know what God's will is. That's what my wife says before she yells at me. But you just pray that I'm obedient to God, the country, and to Texas, and everything will be taken care of. So God bless you all. Thank you for that. I'm sorry. Heather has a question?
A little bit more time. It is important. You mentioned precinct chair. I am a precinct chair for Collin County, and it bothers me and it worries me. I do work my tail off in my precincts, and I do go and meet people that have just moved in, and like you said, and but the precinct chairs, they seem to not work together. We have a thread on Facebook. There's probably 100 of them. You know, I post on there, hey, went walking, wanted to see what your precinct was like, just to see what if they would even respond. Crickets. How can we piece the precincts together so we can have a plan and work together and unite as one? I would love that, the communication, more communication, and piecing those pieces together. So I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
My thoughts would be to look at it the same way that you have a military. A platoon has 4 squads. So I say that 4 precinct chairs makes a platoon of precincts. And then 4 to 5 platoons make a company. So another 4 to 5 of those make a company of precincts. And then you organize and become battalions. And so I think that if you have that type of lower level organization where you guys can come together and share lessons learned and what's best, and then you start to build it up and build it up. And look, you can only be as strong as the weakest link. So if you identify the weakest link, shoo hoy, as they say, you gotta go. This is too important. You know, this ain't about titles. It's about action. And I think that's what tonight was about, it's a call to action. So if you find that weakest link out there, you say, you either poop or you get out the pot. I'm just a simple old soldier, okay? And that's what you got to do. This is too important to have people that just want to have a title, that just want to say that, you know, I got elected to something. We ain't got time for that. We need doers. We need people who are going to go out there and execute. And so again, what I would tell you with Fran, and I don't know if Julie left already. Julie back there. Fran and Julie, stand up, please. They're the honchos of True Texas Project. So last week I was with True Texas Project in Lubbock on Monday evening. Later last week I was over in Irving. Now I'm here in Collin, and I know that they had an event this past Saturday over at the South Fork Ranch. I think y'all know why I couldn't be there for that.
Yes.
I would have been shot and divorced and killed and everything else if I had not been at that wedding. But this is what True Texas Project is all about. Bringing you all together, getting you informed, getting you armed, getting you prepared to go out there. Now, what's the one thing that I want you to do for the municipal level elections? This is what I want you to focus on. What did I tell you to do? Just one. 1 out of 5. That's 20%. You have 20% in the municipal level elections here. Drop it.
Before you all jet out the door here, I have a couple of rhetorical things I'd like to run by you real quick if you'll bear with me for about 3 minutes. How many of you here are precinct chairs? Doesn't matter what brand. Okay, If you're not a precinct chair, there's at least 3 people here that can get you to the people that you need to talk to. I am one of them. The other one's the big tall guy with the cowboy hat back there. Say hi, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
The other one's Linda right here. Red jacket, please stand up. Now granted, we're all Republicans, but that doesn't mean you can't be a Libertarian or that other team. But you need to be involved, right? Now, how many of you here know who the chairman of the Collin County Republican Party is? How many of the Democrat Party? Oh, you should know your enemy. And you know, the Libertarians actually have a county chair as well, just in case you're wondering. So, here's the thing. We can't win if we're not involved. We can't affect change if we're not speaking for that change. Here's one last thing to think about, totally different subject. The school district elections are highly important, yes. But what's more important is your child or your grandchild. And if you're not getting the education that you want or demand out of that government school, and you can't afford to go to a private school, what's your other option?
Homeschool.
Your children, if they're important enough, you'll find a way to do it. That's all I got to say on that matter. And that's one from a father that never took advantage of that. So I'm not speaking down to you. I'm no better than you all are, right? My children are off on their own, sort of, and I wish the best to the next generation. So with that, I will dismiss you for this evening. Thank you so much for coming. Next month, we'll be back up in McKinney. So those of you that are from the Plano area, please feel free to join us. And then we'll see you in 2 months back down here. Thank you all. Have a good night.